What's going on, everyone? So reports came out that the San Antonio Spurs view Victor Wembanyama, Stefon Castle, and Dylan Harper, their new acquisition, as this big three that they believe will be able to challenge the contenders, right? Be able to go head-to-head, toe-to-toe with the big dogs in the league. And I don't think they're wrong, but I don't think they're right now, right? Like, this is something that those three guys have all the upside and potential in the world. And the curious thing, I think, is with De'Aaron Fox. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But right now, these guys need to mature. They need to grow, right? I'm not talking like immaturity-wise. I'm talking about, basketball-wise, right? They need to mature as players. Dylan Harper, he's a rookie, right? Like, the expectation of him coming out and being a superstar, right? Being Cade Cunningham right now. I mean, even Cade Cunningham wasn't what he was, as a rookie in a couple years. There were signs, you saw the potential, but, there were questions like, is he ever going to live up to the hype? Like, I'm old enough to remember some of the, negative remarks towards him, right? So, Dylan Harper's coming to a league where they're going to have to remain patient, right? They're going to have to kind of use them as your building blocks. But I do think as time progresses, they absolutely can. Right, those three guys are your main foundation. I would actually add Carter Bryant to it. Right, I understand that we perceive teams and stuff like what are the three main guys? Because those are the three main guys that that's your core. That usually, no matter what, everything else is moving parts. But Carter Bryant, I think, has the potential. I wouldn't be shocked if next to Victor Wembanyama, if Carter Bryant actually becomes the best out of all of them, right? He has all the tools to be an elite 3-and-D guy and a guy that does multiple things out there on the basket. I think best case scenario with Carter Bryant is Kawhi Leonard. Right? I think worst case scenario is I think he could be a Mikal Bridges type, maybe an OG type where he's just this excellent 3-and-D guy, not a star, not a superstar or anything like that, but every team in the league would love to have a guy like him on there. So I'd add Carter Bryant to that core. Now you have this kind of core four, but I understand we kind of operate in these big threes. And yes, Dylan Harper as your point guard, Stefon Castle as your kind of two guard, kind of being that Swiss Army knife point of attack guy, then having Victor Wembanyama as that support. I do think there is a lot of potential with that, right? Dylan Harper, we need to see also on the defense side of things. Stefon Castle was actually really good defensively, and I think he's only going to continue to get better defensively, right? The reason I like Stefon Castle so much is he's just such a Swiss Army knife guy, right? I've talked very heavily and compared him to Jimmy Butler. I'm not saying he's as good as Jimmy Butler or will ever necessarily be as good as Jimmy Butler. Who knows, right? It could end up being better, right? Who knows? But in the sense of, you look at Jimmy Butler, he's one of the few stars, one of the few guys that doesn't really care about his stats. Right? He just wants to win. Hey, you need me to go get you 20? I can go get you 20. Give me the rock. I'll go do that for you. You need me to go get 10, 8, and 8? I'll go get 10, 8, and 8. You need me to defend the best player on the other team? Sure. You need me to do the dirty work and make the impact plays? Right? It's why Miami is so good, because Bam is another guy that does that. Right? Bam is another guy that is really good at the dirty work, really good at the details. So they're just scrappy, right? They get after it. Stefon Castle, I see in that mold as that kind of guy, where you have Dylan Harper and Victor Wembanyama. They're kind of like the co-stars. They're the guys that are generating all the offense and kind of your 1-2 punch. Why Stefon Castle, yeah, he's still going to eat. He's still going to get some of his, but he's going to operate as that point of attack, versatile defensive piece, can defend 1 through 3, right? Because he's got the size, he's got the strength, he's got the quickness and all that stuff. That is kind of how I see this potentially playing out. But beyond that, right, it begs the question about De'Aaron Fox, right? What is going to happen with De'Aaron Fox, right? Because if those reports are true, then they're not looking at De'Aaron Fox as they were probably last season. Now, obviously, things change, right? When you quit and landed De'Aaron Fox and ended up trading for him, nobody thought that you were going to get the number 2 pick and then also it'd be Dylan Harper, right? A guy that is looked at as a real cornerstone franchise level player, right? So things change really quickly, right? The conversation would be very different if the Spurs got, say, even the 5th pick, maybe even the 3rd pick. The conversation might be very different, right? Because now you just have that De'Aaron Fox, right? Even if you got, VJ Edgecombe, right? He could be your 3, right? So it lines up better. It's more natural. Well, with Dylan Harper, there is kind of that logjam, and there's kind of those question marks, right? Devin Vassell, I think he's the odd man out at some point, right? And again, even the signal that Devin Vassell is the odd man out is the Spurs keep, all these reports about the Spurs don't have him in the conversation, Right, all these things don't have Devin Vassell in any of the like future conversations. It's all Stefon Castle, Dylan Harper, Victor Wembanyama. Now, part of that is like that's the new shiny toy, right? Like, so of course, like you're gonna talk about Dylan Harper, you're gonna talk about Stefon Castle. Victor Wembanyama is the face of the franchise, right? He's the guy. He might move in a top 5 even considerations next season, right? So kind of look at the core and foundation. Spurs are in an excellent spot. But I do think at some point they're going to have to start making some trades. They're going to have to start making some moves. They're going to have to start making some changes, right? Whether it's a Giannis and he actually becomes available, right? And maybe you're turning De'Aaron Fox into Giannis. Maybe you're doing De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell, giving up some assets and stuff like that. Maybe throw in a Keldon Johnson or something, and boom, maybe you're getting that. I would like to keep Harrison Barnes personally, if you could, like even if it's in the wake of Devin Vassell or not Devin Vassell of Keldon Johnson. There we go. Just because I think Harrison Barnes, he plays a role. He's a veteran, can be that guy, and you need that size and perimeter depth, right, especially for this team. But no, also that begs the question: if you were to do something like that, not even Giannis, but just a star, period. Right? If you were to turn De'Aaron Fox and another player into a star. One, does De'Aaron Fox want to go to that team? That's something you got to keep in mind because he's going to be doing a new contract. And then two, even if he does, right, like if you get that other star, does it make sense to go with Dylan Harper and Stefon Castle and Victor Wembanyama as the other 3 around there? Because if you, like, for example, if you go trade for Giannis, right, you're all in. You're not trading for Giannis to let Dylan Harper and Stefon Castle mold themselves over 3 years. Not just that, but they drop down the totem pole, right? So it's like you're all in, right? If you have to trade Dylan Harper and Stefon Castle to get that other piece to put you over the top alongside Giannis and Victor Wembanyama, that's what you have to do. Otherwise, why would you go trade for Giannis? Right? Otherwise, you might as well stay the course. Do you turn De'Aaron Fox into another piece? Like, I would look to turn De'Aaron Fox into like a Herb Jones or something like that. Obviously, you'd want to get more assets, but like, even, before, like one of the things that I talked about like before was with like Minnesota. Minnesota really needs a point guard, right? And De'Aaron Fox along with Anthony Edwards would be amazing. Could you have gotten a Nickeil Alexander-Walker and a Naz Reid, right? Fortunately, Naz Reid just signed a new contract, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker's going elsewhere, so he's going to Atlanta. So it's like that doesn't work out, but something similar, right? That's why I bring it up again, like something similar to that, where you're kind of solving a key position with a guy that is really good now and has some upside, right? Maybe maybe it's a 3-team trade with somebody and you're getting, a Trey Murphy, right? Like, can you do something like that? Because I don't know if the Pelicans would want De'Aaron Fox at this point, and I don't know if De'Aaron Fox would want to go, right? Because they'd also have to do something with DeJounte Murray, but that's what I'm saying. Maybe it's like a 3-team trade, and you're getting a guy like a Trey Murphy coming in, who's 24 years old, fits your timeline, already showed that he can be a 20-point-a-game, 3-and-D wing that can slot in at the 4. And now you have that youthful foundation. Now you got Dylan Harper, got Stefon Castle, you got a Carter Bryant, go get a Trey Murphy, go get you already have Victor Wembanyama, right? Now that's kind of like your 5 going forward. That could be one of the best basketball teams in the league by a large margin in 2 years, and they're all young enough to where you can be patient, kind of wait, and maybe add some key vets around the edges and stuff, and kind of round out the depth and things like that. But they're gonna have to make a decision. Look, I've talked about it very heavily. There have been numerous reports that the Spurs are gonna have to make a decision. You're just not gonna be able to run De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, and Stefon Castle. And, I understand we're in a positionless league and all that stuff. That's kind of the argument that I see people generally bring up, but we're really not, right? Like, teams still need a center. That's why centers are so important, right? Look at a team like the Lakers, had no center and Rudy Gobert looked like prime Shaq. You still need a big man, right? You still need, defense. You need certain skilled positions. Point guard. If you didn't need a point guard in the league, then the Phoenix Suns probably would have won a championship by now, right? But they didn't. They didn't have that guy that could put everything together and keep everything in order, right? You still need certain specific position. It's kind of that 2 through 4 spot is the positionless state. However, you still want size, right? You don't want to have 3, 6'5" guys as your starters, right? Like, I understand people look at OKC and are like, oh yeah, but OKC, all their guys are pesky role players, right? It's not the same thing as like your 3 stars, right? Like, and they still went and got guys like Alex Caruso and then went and got an Isaiah Hartenstein and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Also, we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.